Hey, again, I know I say this every time, but I don't do these lives very often. But once again, just kind of feeling inspired and the need to, compelled to share some of the conversations that I've been having with clients lately. Um, I'm blessed to work with a lot of amazing people that do a lot of different things. And one of the most common things that I get to support so many of them on is this whole feeling and experience of being stuck. And I'm sure everybody out there listening, either watching this live or replay, can associate, or it resonates as far as being stuck. And being stuck isn't always a whole lot of fun. What I've come to realize, and what I love to serve and support and guide my clients through, is recognizing that moments of stuck don't have to be as overwhelming or as disheartening as it can be sometimes, and that we can reframe our relationship with those feelings of being stuck. Because what's typically happening, hey Lori, I see you chiming on, what's typically happening when we're feeling stuck is when we feel stuck, it's actually a sign that we are just now beginning the next level of breakthrough, that we've been stretched. For one reason or another, we've come kind of the end of our abilities, or the edge of our abilities, not the end, but the edge of our current abilities, understanding, learning. And it's an opportunity now, if we intentionally step into it, to break through to the next level. And what I've learned, continue to learn, and to love supporting my clients in doing is recognizing that the best model we actually have for getting unstuck, when we're feeling unstuck and working through the experience of being stuck, is given to us by nature itself. You see behind me trees and the way they navigate the seasons. It's actually a wonderful example and model for how we can approach getting unstuck when we feel stuck. And the four seasons: fall, winter, spring, and summer. Right now we're in a beautiful time of spring and summer, and the tough part is getting to spring and summer. We got to go through fall and winter first. And fall is actually where we start with regards to working through the seasons of being stuck. Fall happens, our fall season and the seasons of being stuck happens when we recognize that there's been change, and we recognize that we don't necessarily have control over as much as we would like to or thought we did. And we start bumping up against some things that get us to feel like our progress is being blocked, maybe internally, maybe externally in what we do, maybe internally in the way we think. But we start feeling blocked. We start feeling that our progress is slowing or even stopping altogether. We start saying things like, if only I could just, or if only this would happen, then I could. Those are signs that we're in this period of being stuck. And what is most important in those fall seasons, when we've recognized that change is happening, we don't have the control we thought we did, is for us to avoid certain temptations, easy for me to say, certain temptations that happen in the fall, and instead focus on the things we need for breakthrough in that season. So for instance, when we're in the fall and we start feeling those things, the temptations that we often fall to when we start to feel stuck is we double down on our efforts. We just start working harder and think, if I just push through, everything will be okay. Sometimes that'll work, but oftentimes what happens is we just end up wearing ourselves out. Because what we really need in the fall season, again, the fall season being when we start to feel stuck, what we really need is to get to truth. We really need to start asking ourselves questions that help us figure out what's not working. What is not working? Why are we stuck? What's not working? Questions like, what am I allowing to distract me right now? Are there things that I'm allowing to get in the way of what I really want and could be doing to move forward? Or am I forcing old motivations for these things? Are there old motivations that I keep trying to force even though I know they're not really the best inspiration or motivation for me? Asking ourselves the question, what am I really afraid of in these moments? A lot of times being stuck can happen because, again, change has happened, and we're afraid of what that change might mean. So we stay stuck and we stay committed to strategies, beliefs, perspectives, concepts that really aren't serving us at the moment. So we need to stop in the fall, when we're in that beginning of the stuck season. We need to stop and ask ourselves and honestly answer those questions to help us figure out, what are we holding on to? What is the reality we're holding on to, as opposed to what is the reality we're really in? An example of this is I've worked with many people who have been in different situations, and me, myself included, working in situations and in companies and organizations where things are humming right along, things are great, and then all of a sudden there's a need at some level for change. And when the change is enacted, it changes the landscape of the work that we're doing, maybe even takes us outside of our comfort zone a little further, maybe even requires some things of us that we didn't have to do before and aren't even sure that we're fully capable of. It's real easy in those moments to try to fight that change, right? And to hold on and to complain and let our mind stay and try to force this reality of what we had before, rather than asking those questions, all right, what's really going on here? Well, for me, myself, in my situation, what I realized is I was afraid that I was going to lose too much of myself. I was afraid that because we had to switch, because I had to do things that weren't necessarily what I loved most, that I was going to lose myself in that. When I was able to accept the reality rather than fight against it and try to see how I could stop it, I was able to start seeing other options open up. And it wasn't a quick process. It took a lot of time. It took being honest with myself. It took talking with other people. But instead of running from it, I stared down what I was trying to avoid. And as a result of going through that myself, now I am better positioned to help support and guide the clients that I work with in doing the same thing. Again, when they feel stuck, to help lead them into those questions of, all right, tell me, what feels stuck? Where do you feel stuck? Where do you get most frustrated? Where do those feelings and thoughts of being stuck happen? And then as they start talking about it, we can start getting into what is the result? What is the cause of that? Where are those fears coming from? We can help them start seeing the truth rather than just falling into this hyped positivity or doubling down of efforts to force things that just aren't working. So wrapping all of that together, and those of you, I see a few others, Angie Bailey, Becky, Allison, so Tammy, awesome, Ann, thank you for jumping on. If you didn't catch it all and you catch the replay, if you have questions about anything I shared, please ask in this thread so that I can maybe go back and be a little bit more clear about things. But again, in this fall season, we're talking about the seasons of being stuck, what it feels like and how to intentionally work through being stuck, and how to recognize being stuck as really evidence that you're about ready for new breakthrough, to break through to a new level, to grow yourself, your abilities, your knowledge. The first step of that, if you don't remember anything else, is to remember in the fall season, when you're just starting to feel stuck, what's most important is to remember that truth is always greater than hyped positivity, right? Because so often what we hear is just push through, just work hard, you'll make it. Not necessarily, it's well-intended advice, but what if we're pressing on? What if we're hyping up? What if we're doubling down efforts around the wrong thing? When what we really need to know is, what's the truth? You know, what's really got me stuck? What's the reality that I'm trying to hang on to? And what is the true reality as it is that I need to learn to cooperate with? And why the seasons are such a great role model is when you think about the tree. If you're a science nerd like me, you know that in the fall, the days get shorter, the sunlight gets shorter, the temperatures get colder, so the tree isn't able to make as much food as it needs to support the tree and all of its in metabolism and creating food for it and all that kind of thing. So what happens is there's reactions and adjustments and chemical reactions within the tree that then cause the leaves to die and fall off. Preparing for winter, preparing for this dormancy in winter. We'll talk about winter in another video. But the tree, instead of fighting the fact that winter's coming, it recognizes it, it cooperates with it. It recognizes that for things to work with this new reality of the shortening season, of the shortening days in the season of fall, that it needs to let the leaves drop, right? So when we're in moments of our own life, personal, professional, or otherwise, when we feel stuck, things aren't moving, we really need to stop and ask ourselves, get serious and ask, what's not working? What am I holding on to that I need to let go, just like the tree? How funny would it look if we ran around trying to staple leaves back to trees in the fall, right? We're doing the same thing when we're stuck and we stay committed to strategies, activities, behaviors that we already know aren't working without stepping back to be honest with ourselves and figure out what's the truth that is greater than the hyped positivity. So I'm going to stop there for now because I know this can be really long. But again, if you have questions, thoughts, rotten tomatoes to throw, please comment here on this thread so we can keep the conversation going. And then tomorrow, hopefully I'll be able to find time to come back and talk a little bit about moving then from fall into winter and then move into maybe next week with the last 2 seasons. But thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching the replay. Please comment and enjoy this wonderful weather. Hopefully you have it where you're at too.